The term petrodollar refers to the US dollars earned by countries through the export of oil. This concept has played a pivotal role in shaping the world's economic and political landscape since the 1970s. By pricing oil in dollars, global energy markets became closely tied to the US currency, influencing international trade and finance. The petrodollar system has also impacted diplomatic relations and economic strategies as countries navigate the complexities of energy dependence and currency exchange. Understanding the petrodollar helps explain many of the dynamics that drive today's global economy. Oil plays a central role in our modern economies, acting as the backbone for countless industries. It's not just about fueling cars, trucks, and airplanes. Oil is also a key ingredient in manufacturing everything from plastics to fertilizers. In our daily lives, we encounter oil-based products more often than we realize, whether it's in the packaging of our food or the materials in our smartphones. Because of its versatility and energy density, oil remains a crucial resource that keeps the world moving and connected. The global oil market is shaped by a complex interplay between countries that produce oil and those that consume it. Oil-producing nations, such as Saudi Arabia and Russia, often influence supply levels and pricing through coordinated actions and agreements. Meanwhile, major consumers like the United States, China, and India drive demand, impacting market trends and global prices. These dynamics can lead to fluctuations in oil costs and sometimes spark negotiations or tensions over resources. Understanding this balance helps explain why oil prices can change so rapidly and why the market remains a central topic in international economics. After World War II, the world was looking for stability and a fresh start. In 1944, representatives from dozens of countries gathered in Bretton Woods, New Hampshire, to set up a new financial system. They agreed to make the US dollar the main currency for international trade, linking it to gold and encouraging other currencies to peg themselves to the dollar. This move gave the dollar a special status, making it the backbone of global finance. Over time, even as the gold link faded, the dollar's central role only grew stronger, shaping how countries do business and manage their economies today. The gold standard was a system where the value of a country's currency was directly tied to a specific amount of gold. For much of the 20th century, the US dollar was linked to gold, meaning you could, in theory, exchange dollars for a fixed quantity of gold. This connection helped stabilize international currencies and fostered trust in the dollar worldwide. However, in 1971, President Richard Nixon announced that the United States would no longer convert dollars to gold, a decision known as the Nixon shock. This move marked the end of the gold standard and led to the modern era of fiat currencies, where money is backed by government trust rather than precious metals. In the early 1970s, the world witnessed a major shift as the United States moved away from the gold standard, transitioning to a fiat currency system. This meant that the value of the US dollar was no longer tied to a fixed amount of gold, but instead was based on trust in the government and the strength of the economy. Despite this change, the US dollar maintained its dominant position globally. One reason is that many countries continued to hold dollars as reserves, and international trade, especially in oil, was still conducted in dollars. The stability and influence of the US economy helped reinforce the dollar's role as the world's primary reserve currency. The world's reserve currency is a currency that is widely held by governments and institutions as part of their foreign exchange reserves. Currently, the US dollar plays this role more than any other currency. Countries hold large reserves of US dollars because it's trusted, stable, and used in international trade, especially for commodities like oil. Having dollars on hand makes it easier for countries to pay for imports, settle debts, and maintain confidence in their own economies. This widespread use reinforces the dollar's position as the leading global currency. In 1973, the Organization of the Petroleum Exporting Countries, or OPEC, triggered a major oil crisis by cutting production and imposing an embargo on several Western nations. This move was largely a response to political tensions, especially the support these countries gave to Israel during the Yom Kippur War. As a result, oil prices skyrocketed, causing widespread economic disruption across Europe and North America. Industries struggled with higher costs, inflation soared, and many countries faced energy shortages. The crisis marked a turning point, prompting governments and businesses to rethink their energy strategies and dependence on foreign oil. In the 1970s, the United States and Saudi Arabia struck a pivotal agreement that would shape the global economy for decades. The deal was simple but powerful. Saudi oil would be sold exclusively in US dollars, and in return, the US provided military protection and economic cooperation. This arrangement led to the birth of the petrodollar system, making the dollar the main currency for international oil transactions. As a result, countries around the world needed dollars to buy oil, boosting demand for the US currency and reinforcing its status as the world's reserve currency. The petrodollar system is a key factor in how global oil transactions are conducted. Essentially, most countries need to use US dollars if they want to buy oil on the international market because oil is primarily priced and sold in dollars. This means that nations must hold significant reserves of US dollars to ensure they can pay for their energy needs. As a result, the demand for the dollar remains high, reinforcing its status as the world's dominant reserve currency. This system creates a strong link between the global oil trade and the US financial system. The United States benefits significantly from the high global demand for the dollar. Because so many countries use the dollar for trade, and as a reserve currency, the US enjoys a stronger currency, which helps keep import prices lower for American consumers. This demand also allows the US government to borrow money more easily and at lower interest rates, since investors around the world see the dollar as a safe bet. Additionally, the dollar's central role in international finance gives the US extra influence in global economic affairs. Altogether, these advantages reinforce America's position in the world economy. Petrodollar recycling is a fascinating process that connects global oil markets with the US financial system. When countries sell oil, they usually receive payments in US dollars. Instead of simply holding on to these dollars, many oil-exporting nations reinvest their earnings in US assets, like government bonds or real estate. This creates a financial loop, as the dollars flow back into the American economy, helping to support the value of the dollar and maintain its role as the world's dominant currency. It's a system that quietly shapes international finance and ties together energy and economics in a unique way. In recent years, the petrodollar system has faced some notable challenges. Countries like Russia and Venezuela have started seeking alternatives to the US dollar when trading oil, often turning to their own currencies or those of their trading partners. India and Pakistan have also explored similar arrangements, aiming to reduce their reliance on the dollar for energy transactions. These moves reflect a broader trend of nations looking for more financial independence and flexibility in global markets. While the US dollar remains dominant, these shifts could gradually reshape the landscape of international oil trade. The BRICS alliance, which brings together Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa, has been actively exploring ways to promote alternatives to the US dollar in international trade and finance. By encouraging the use of their own currencies and developing new payment systems, BRICS aims to reduce global reliance on the dollar. This shift is seen as a way to increase economic sovereignty and balance power in global markets. While the US dollar remains dominant, the efforts of BRICS are gradually gaining attention and may influence future trends in global finance. Moving away from the petrodollar system isn't as simple as flipping a switch. Over decades, countless international contracts and financial agreements have been built around trading oil in US dollars. This system gives the dollar unique advantages, like making it the world's main reserve currency and providing stability for global markets. Changing this setup would require renegotiating massive financial infrastructures and could introduce uncertainty for both oil producers and buyers. That's why, despite ongoing debates, the petrodollar remains deeply embedded in the world economy. Countries such as China and Russia have been making moves to reduce their reliance on the US dollar in oil transactions, especially when facing international sanctions. Instead, they often turn to alternative currencies like the yuan or ruble, or even barter arrangements, to sidestep restrictions and assert greater financial independence. However, it's interesting to note that these same countries still use the dollar when it suits their interests, particularly because the dollar remains dominant in global trade and offers stability. This selective approach allows them to navigate geopolitical pressures while maintaining access to the broader international market. Ultimately, it's a balancing act between political strategy and practical economic needs. China has been taking significant steps to challenge the dominance of the US dollar in global finance. One key part of this strategy involves increasing its gold reserves, which helps boost confidence in its own currency, the yuan. By buying large amounts of gold, China aims to reduce its reliance on the dollar and encourage other countries to do the same. These moves have ripple effects across international markets, as they can influence currency values and reshape the way countries conduct trade. Overall, China's actions are part of a broader effort to create a more multipolar financial system. In summary, the petrodollar continues to play a significant role in shaping global geopolitics. Its influence extends far beyond oil markets, impacting international trade, currency stability, and diplomatic relations. Understanding how the petrodollar system works helps explain many of the economic and political decisions made by countries around the world. By grasping these dynamics, we gain valuable insight into the forces that drive the world economy today.